Pyromaniac Firemen. Now you're probably wondering, what the heck is all that about? Well, years ago, I read an article about a fireman who is also a pyromaniac. Actually, it's not isolated. There is occasionally people like this. And what he would basically do is he would set a fire, and then when the call came in, he would, lo and behold, along with the other people, go put the fire out. Basically, when they try to analyze and wondered why he did this, it was boiled down to a couple of things. One was that he had this hero-savior complex, and the other one is he just had a fetish with fires. He just got off on fire. So, an unfortunately sad combination. But it got me to thinking. I was at a party over the weekend, and one of the common things I was asked about was the current state of affairs in the economy. You see, I'm involved in the financial side of the world, and occasionally when you go to a party, you get asked about interest rates and all those sorts of things. And my thing to people and they were asking also, hey, like, when do you think the rates are going to go down, and what are the politicians going to do about it? And I said, well, they actually are the ones that cause the problem. That's right. They are our pyromaniac firemen. You see, I reminded these people at this party that it was the monetary policies which were really accentuated in 2020 with the lockdowns that drove us to this insanity. When we shut down an entire economy, not just in Canada, but worldwide, and we paid people to sit at home and printed record amounts of money, lo and behold, how was it going to end? Well, our politicians got to play hero at the beginning by handing out and doling out our taxpayer money, and then they came in after and said, oh, wait a minute, now there's a problem. I wonder how that happened, whoopsie. And hopefully, the average citizen now will not be turning back to government and saying, hey, bring me a solution. Because I guarantee you, that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping that this financial current high interest rates and all the talk about mortgage defaults and all these sorts of things will drive people back into their arms. That's right. Will drive them to wanting more government solutions, which were inevitably the cause of why we're in the mess we're in. It was the fiscal policy, the monetary stimulation, all the insanity. Now, it only, like I said, really kind of ramped up in 2020, but it didn't begin there. If I go back in time, I could go back to 2000. That's right, when the Twin Towers got hit. That would be the year when things really changed. September 11, 2000 is when the Patriot Act got put in place in the United States. That's right. At that point, people were willing to give up their freedoms, their rights, especially in the United States, and it trickled down to other countries as well, in exchange for being safeguarded by the government, protected by the government. Something that started out as a potentially maybe a noble idea, like I said, the Patriot Act, morphed into what we have today, which is our surveillance deep state, the world we live in. And it all began there because people were afraid. And they said, hey, big government, come on, rescue us. We'll give up whatever we have to surrender. And you know what? If that means that we cannot take bottled water through check security at the airport, so be it. Whatever it involves, we're willing to give it all up. Well, that continued on. And then in 2008, we had the subprime meltdown. Well, how did that happen? Well, it started with the United States, and that happened basically with people getting what they call ninja mortgages loans. No income, no job, no assets. The lending policies were insane. Now, why was that? Well, because Fannie and Freddie, which are the kind of like the equivalent of CMHC in Canada, they decided by government edict that more people needed to own homes. And in order to do that, well, basically we would let almost anybody qualify. Again, a government policy designed to encourage more home ownership because there needed to be more of a balance. People who couldn't normally afford a home due to their financial circumstances, because let's say they didn't have income they could prove, or let's say they didn't qualify income-wise, well, we had to make it fair and we had to make sure they owned homes. That resulted in the insanity, the lead up to 2008 with the subprime meltdown, when the markets just collapsed. And then it became too big to fail. That's right. No institution could go under. So the middle class, the taxpayers, the people who paid a lot of the money as well, were called to bail out everybody else in the process. And people clamored for more government solutions. And then inevitably we came to 2020. That's right, the pandemic. And I always get irked when people say, well, look what COVID did. I always say to them, COVID didn't do a damn thing. It was the reaction to COVID by governments and by ordinary citizens, the fear and the panic that drove people to clamor again for more government solutions. So we called for the firemen to come out when, lo and behold, we forgot that they were also the arsonists, these government people who implemented policies, put things in place that caused all of our dilemmas. Now, that's not to say that COVID, the reaction to COVID alone did it. Again, like I said, the financial stimulation from the spending from 2000 to 2008 to 2020, there was a lot of monetary interference. The economy wasn't free to just be. So they learned, politicians of all stripes, and there's no heroes in this, that if there was a good old tragedy, a good old crisis, people would go running and clamoring for more leadership, for more government, and which would ultimately give them more control. So we went into, like I said, 2020, we did the whole COVID thing, and government realized that, wow, this is really good. We can just have people sit at home. We can decide who the winners and losers are, because you remember, there was businesses that were deemed too essential not to stay open, and others that were just told, shut it down. So what has been the fallout of all of this now into 2024? Well, we have the record interest rates now, or back to normal interest rates. Why? Because we manipulated interest rates for that period of time. We printed endless amounts of money that we didn't have, which caused additional inflation. We took away civil liberties and rights. So many things resulted out of this crisis. And like I said, these folks put the fire, and then they came to put the fire out. And now we are in this financial thing. So my caution to people would be, don't call for the firemen once again, folks. These folks are not going to solve anything. If we ask them to start doing all kinds of interference because we're worried about people's financial state, while I can appreciate it that people, may be overextended, they may have overspent money. Unfortunately, those are the realities of life. Nobody is promised a free ride. And if we are looking for government to now make things better for everybody somehow, it's going to come at a cost and a price. And that's going to be from us. There is no such thing. I'm always baffled when I hear people say, well, government can just print, give out more programs, more stuff. Well, government doesn't generate a damn thing. That's right. They are a black hole. They are a dark place where things go to die. Essentially, they're not like a normal business. They don't generate a profit. They're just takers. That's right. Government should stick to its basic functions, and unfortunately it doesn't. And in crises, as we've seen, they expand. For example, the American government, the federal government, since 2020 has expanded by over 40%. That's sizable. That is a fixed expense. Canadian government's not far behind. We've done a lot of expansion here. As we give them more power, more control, as we hire more firemen who are sitting around with nothing to do, ultimately they're going to become arsonists. They have to be, because they have to justify their existence. So they find more fires, so to speak, or set more fires. And here we are constantly thinking that somehow they are going to come to our rescue. No, folks, it's time to let some of them go. It's time to start paying attention to what they've been doing. And it's time to stop ringing the alarm every time we see something wrong, and realize it's up to us individually to take control of our own situations and not be looking for these folks to rescue us, because they sure as hell ain't going to do it, and it isn't going to change. Anyway, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me in my Rumble and my Locals account. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. You can also follow me on my Twitter at Camera612, and I will see you next time.